I've got some tension here. Didn't know that until now. And then I'm just rubbing with this stone right here up and across it, and then from the other side, just to get that stiff muscle nice and soft. I'm doing little circles. And this is a really good use of my time because, I mean, the muscles in your face are stiff. Like, these are attached to the muscles in my face are attached to other parts of my face, which then, if they're stiff, have certain effects that I don't even know. But I do know for sure that if everything is nice and soft and smooth and well circulated, my face is going to feel much better and look much better. I'm using this stone to go over my cheek muscles. And then here on my under eye, a little bit more gently. Maybe, at least I'd recommend if you're starting, start gently. I'm not really doing it. This then pushes the liquid that gathers underneath the eyes out. And I recommend pushing it out to the temple, down here past the masseter, and then over here past the jawline. Because here we have our, basically, hang on. If I twist my head, chin to shoulder, you see this muscle come out right here. This is basically the pipeline to the lymph nodes. So all of the fluids that gather in the face then can be massaged out over here and then out down here. And then I like to take my fingers and just jiggle and massage this muscle. All of what I'm doing with this, you can do with your hands and knuckles. I'm using this because this, honestly, it's a lot easier on my hands. So I'm like halfway through with this. I started before recording. Ooh, other side could use this too, huh? It's cool because when you have this and then you notice like when a muscle is stiff, by going over it, like, oh, hang on, there's some resistance. You're finding out that your face has stiff muscles, which is honestly really good because now I know I can do something about it. I would say to start, don't do too hard. Figure out your threshold because remember, you are rubbing with a hard object against muscles. And depending on how you do it, you might even end up with, well, bruised muscles or bruised face. And while I like to do it intuitively, if you are someone who needs help, you can go ahead and look online, but I think intuitively works best for me. I would recommend looking at a diagram of a face, or at least the muscles of the face, and you notice we have like circles around the eyes and circles around the mouth. And so if you have tension in your forehead, you can go ahead and use this thing on those circles above the eyebrows, like doing little circular motions to just really get that nice and smooth. And then long strokes. If you want to take care of this part, I have this edge, and I am simply pushing it upwards. Here you've got to like drag and hold on the muscle, allowing this to just hold that tension and then release. Other side for good measure. Remember, this is a really good fascia release. This is great for your muscles, great for the blood circulation in your face. And all of that allows for, well, cell renewal, collagen production, you know, a nice, honestly, I would say your real face is hidden behind the work. And it's worth it. This, eventually, when you realize that this is really good for you and this has wonderful effects on you, your appearance, and also how you're able to age, or rather, this has wonderful, when you realize how, ooh, honestly, when you realize that this does so much good for you, affecting your appearance because of how the fluid is now being processed and worked out to the lymph nodes. The circulation, the blood circulation is calling oxygen to these cells in your face, which is allowing for cell renewal and healing. And your muscles are less tense, meaning they have a better chance at performing. And the more you do this, the more your muscles are like then freer to move properly. Well, then you've got a better chance at gravity, against gravity, because you might see a lot of aged people around you who have sagging faces. And that is simply because of years of, I wouldn't want to call it neglect, because they just didn't have the information. You do now. So if you do your facial massage, fascia massage, blood circulation, all of this good stuff, as well as exercises like, hang on, I like to purse my lips when I do this. And then just focus on your under eye. Just raising this muscle. This, I noticed, I did it automatically when I was looking in the mirror, and then I just got this nice cut in the cheek. We're literally strength training the muscles in your under eye. And that then got me to think, hey, true, like I've seen a fair amount of older people who, when they do fitness for a lifetime, you can't tell their age by their body. Like, damn, who is that? They turn around and you're like, okay, grandfather. But that's the cool thing. If you also start training your face and also taking proper care of it, I wonder what that looks like in age. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. And that's the cool thing about the internet now. The more we learn, the more we get to share, the more other people get to try it out. And then we have a generation of hotties in their 80s. And so, I also did, I'm not going to double do it because, you know, the whole muscle and I don't want it to bruise, but I did circular motions on my forehead. What I noticed is there was a little bit of tension up here, and worked that out. And then I started like going over the temple here first, and the temple itself, and then also next to the temple and the hairline, because remember, the hair doesn't cover nothing. There are also muscles there as well. And when I started doing this, I like closed my eyes. I'm like, meow. It's like kind of like a kitty, you know. It just feels good. I just feel real good. And then when you take care of this tension, and then work it down here into this muscle along the jaw, and then eventually down here. Another good muscle to be massaging is your masseter. That's right here. This is one of the strongest muscles you've got. It is the one that is connecting your jaw and allows you to chew. And so what I do is I push like this up against the muscle. And then here, following this natural cheek hollow, doing a little twist with my wrist, And then from the cheek down, pull it like this. Yeah. And then finally over here. Same with the other side, from below and up. I'm gonna do it with my left hand training. And the cool thing is, once you start, you're gonna be like, damn, I did not know I had tension in my face. And then, once you start realizing that you do notice what you didn't notice before, you're then more inclined to take better care of yourself. And again, twists of the wrist, and then a smooth transition over here. Okay, I would say got everything except for around the lips. How do I do the chin properly? So now I've got this turned a little bit like this. I'm just gonna drag over the chin like top to bottom and then from side to side. And I'm pulling my lips up so that I have my muscle more flat against the muscle. Against the bone. This here is not the most comfortable thing in the world, at least on the chin, because I am dragging it right across the bone. And if you do have tension in your chin from like pressing your teeth together or what was it? If you have stress, sometimes that just manifests in a stiff chin because of like constant teeth grinding or clenching. And so, if you do by chance have tough muscles in your chin and you go over it like this, it could hurt. Right, again, start of the day, I don't really want to walk out this place with a face full of bruises, so I'm gonna keep it light. She says, and doesn't change a thing. And then here, right underneath the chin, jaw, we've got this hollow. If you press your finger in here, you can actually get your fingers underneath your jaw. And what I like to do is either with my hands, have my thumb underneath my chin and push while, yeah, you know what? For this, I'm gonna go ahead and use my hands. I usually use my hands for all of this. You can too. And so, and then, see that, huh? If you do this for a while, like fairly consistently, like 1 or 2 times a week for weeks on end, or do you just make it part of your routine, I would recommend you do you could choose to do daily, but like a before and after picture. Because if you've never done this before and then you start working all the muscles, getting everything nice and circulated, and specifically all the fluid worked out, well, your appearance is gonna change. And again, to really get all of this off in the pipeline, chin to opposite shoulder, you can tilt your head slightly and boom, hang on. We'll do it one more time on the other side. Chin towards shoulder already, and then you can slightly tilt your head. And again, chin towards opposite shoulder, tilt your head, and then boom, you've got it. Start at the ear, use your fingers, and just jimmy it down. I like using my other hand as well, just to really work it out. And you can also go ahead and pull from your here underneath your chin to this pipeline as well. Up your masseter using your knuckle. You can even use your thumb and go from back Okay. Hang on, right chin towards shoulder, slightly down, and boom, here we are. Axis. And again, you can do pretty much all of what I did with your hands. I just happen to have that, where is it? This, because I bought it a while ago and I'm like, why don't we try this out? It works awesome. It does save your hands and knuckles a little bit of tired. It does save them a little bit of the work, but if you don't have it, you can totally do all of what we just did with your fingers. I just can't do this anymore. Sorry. Oh yeah, fabulous. All right, and I would recommend, just for funsies and because it's really good for you, here, like along the spine, what we've got here, just beneath the skull, we have these two divots or two hollows, and I would also recommend using your fingers to just work along here. Ooh yeah. Oh. Other side as well. Typically, if you're not filming or holding your hair up, you can just do both at the same time, like so. This, ooh, nice over the shoulder. This, along with, hang on, right, chin towards shoulder, slightly down, and this, working on the fluid out of the head, helps the brain as well, because overnight the brain has a specific function of clearing out excess waste, meaning all the information from the day before that is worth keeping gets kept. Everything else, all the gunk that gets Heh, what would I even like to say? Gathers. Okay, so at night, when all the gunk that gathers up in your brain gets washed out with fluids, and this fluid then gets processed through here and into the lymph nodes. Fabulous. However, depending on how you sleep or how much or little you move, sometimes that could be a little bit less than it needs to, and so using your hands, doing jumping, whether it's on your mattress or if you've got a ball, all of this helps that fluid better get processed through the neck and then into the lymphs to then be released from the body. And boom, you got it. You have a now perfectly massaged, well circulated, fascia is happy face. Your face might be a little bit red a few minutes afterwards because of the circulation. That's just the blood being activated. And well, honestly, I feel nice. One more thing before we go, just as a bonus. Korean beauty or Asian beauty standards have a practice that also calls for blood circulation with the help of slapping. So you might see some people in airport bathrooms or wherever else, you might come across others from other places. This light, it doesn't have to be hard. This light slapping is basically just calling some blood to these places, saying, hey, wake up. Also, it's a good way to wake up, but around your eyes, I just do super light. And then what I'm doing here is kind of doing a pull away slap from my nose. Around your lips. I would also just suggest, I know this is a little bit jumping around, I would also suggest doing exercises for your lips as well. Because, as you might see with some certain people, Lips can get thinner. It's not necessarily because of aging, it's just because of, well, you know, the muscle isn't properly being used and it degenerates. And these are muscles. If you exercise and strengthen, it would only make sense that they stay and retain. Just one more because, you know, I love ya. Let's get going. Another great way to train the cheek muscles is purse your lips and then individually engage your muscles. Notice how it's also getting the under eye, so it's kind of a little triple whammy. And it's also a concentration kind of work because I'm coordinating left, right, which means my brain is working now too. Can you see it because of the light? What I noticed the other day while I was doing this in front of the mirror, one side had it a little bit easier than the other. I'm like, okay, hang on, or I'd notice a little bit more of a twitching here, an uncontrolled contraction rather than controlled, which I only found out because I started doing it. And now I get to train that too. Okay, thank you very much for joining. I hope this helped. It is pretty cool that I got to keep this moment on camera recorded. I was actually gonna finish doing all of this without ever pulling out my phone, but then I thought, hey, I don't know how long I'm gonna be doing this. I might as well catch whatever's left on camera and share that. So here we are. I hope you got to learn something from this. And yeah, stay cute.